So I was just out driving around, listening to some music, and just chilling, and this thought come across my mind. And I was thinking back to a time when I was in a relationship. And I was in this relationship on and off for about 6 years. And there was some great times, and there was some hellish times too. But I fully take my responsibility for, whatever happened, because, we only go through what we allow people to do to us. And so, but anyway, in this relationship, a man would always tell me, he was like, he schooled me a lot. And because whenever I met him, like, I was, like, I knew things, but I didn't, and, but he was schooling me, and he would always say, there's going to be a time that you and I aren't together. And of course, I didn't want to hear that, because I was so in love with him, and, but even through all the mess that he put me through, it was just like, I truly loved him, and, it was just crazy, and, but anyway, he would always tell me, I want you to know this, or I want you to be able to, if this is being said, and he would just, like, he was teaching me the game. He taught me a lot of the game, even though he was the ultimate game player. He had his own agenda. He was running some game on me, but in the same sense, he was teaching me, knowingly and unknowingly, there was things. And he'd always tell me, he was like, you're smart. He's like, you're smart, He was like, just, think about it and just recognize. He's like, because you're smart. He said, you're smarter than you give yourself credit. And so basically, in his own way, he was telling me, like, things that I would talk to him about, or like, say about our situation. He was basically telling me that, I was right, and but without coming out directly and saying it. And even after we weren't together, I come in contact with him a couple times, and we were just talking about some things, and some things that I had allowed to happen, and that I had went through. And he would just be like, didn't I teach you better than that? And so what I wanted to say is that, even in situations that we think are not beneficial to us, and we wonder why we're in those situations, there's always a lesson to be learned. And God is always teaching us something. So even though this man has his own agenda, he had enough compassion and love inside of him, which I want to give credit to Yah, that he wanted what was best for me. And he didn't want me to be out here. And he would always tell me, he was like, no girl, thinks she's, no woman ever, thinks she's going to be a hoe, And I was like, what are you, like, at the time I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, and he would say, like, he would talk to me, and he was like, he was like, a lot of guys run game just to get what they want. And he was like, and then, the next thing a woman knows is, like, all these men have told her all these things, and, she's ends up being ran through. And he was like, I don't want that for you. He was like, I want better for you. And he was like, you're smarter than that. And, like, he would just tell me a lot of things. And it's like, we had a serious type of bond in the craziness that it was. And it was just like, and I think that was why it was so hard for me, like, when God moved him out of my life, and I would just pray about it, and I would ask God, if he's meant for me, like, let me know. And God would try to let me know, and I would just keep ignoring him. And finally, one day I was driving down the road, just out of the blue, I was driving down the road, and Yah spoke to me and said, if I move him out of your life, if I take him completely away from you, and I change him, will you be happy with that? It was a tough question that I didn't immediately answer, because I began to cry. I began to weep. And I had to really ask myself that. And, you know, in that, God was showing me that in order for me to move on with my life and become in a better position, that he had to move him out of my life. Now, he's back in this area now, but I mean, he completely moved him to out of state, like to the bottom. I mean, like to the bottom of the United States. Like, he was several hours away from me. And so it was just like, it wasn't easy access to me anymore, you know, like, and a lot of other things happened, and that broke my heart along the way, you know, during this process. But then I come to realize that a lot of my heartbreak was just me breaking my own heart. And so if you're going through something, or if you're in a situation and God moves you out of the situation, I just ask that you go through the process and heal. And that, I know people tell you all the time that things will get better. I promise you, from somebody from experience I could write a book and tell you a lot of things. Things do get better. You know, it's like I'm not currently in a relationship, but I'm somewhere at a point in my life that I never thought I would be, you know, mentally, physically, emotionally. You know, like, Yah grew me and moved me somewhere else. So my prayer on tonight is that you would be blessed, and that you would have an ear to hear, and that you would not take so long like I did to listen to what Yah is saying to you. Be blessed.